Hey, Jack Jennings here to talk to you about No Place to Hide, Glenn Greenwald's thrilling account of his journey to help expose the NSA and U.S. government's corrupt surveillance measures. Before we get to start talking about the chapters, I'd like to read a couple things from the book first. Greenwald's dedication, which reads, "This book is dedicated to all those who have sought to shine a light on the U.S. government's secret mass surveillance systems, particularly the courageous whistleblowers who have risked their liberty to do so." And then also on the next page, a quote that reads, "The United States government has perfected a technological capability that enables us to monitor the messages that go through the air. That capability at any time could be turned around on the American people, and no American would have any privacy left. Such is the capability to monitor everything. Telephone conversations, telegrams, it doesn't matter. There would be no place to hide." It's by Senator Frank Church, Chair, Senate Select Committee to Study Governmental Operations with Respect to Intelligent Activities, 1975. Chapter 1 starts off with Greenwald, where he gets an email from an anonymous tipster named Cincinnatus, a name taken from the Roman leader Cincinnatus. Cincinnatus is often regarded as a hero. He's also often been cited as an example of outstanding leadership, service to the greater good, civic virtue, lack of personal ambition, and modesty. He's inspired a number of organizations and other entities to name themselves in his honor. Chapter 1, oops, I already said that. Right, after he gets the email from Cincinnatus, they talk for a little bit, and Cincinnatus is adamant about Greenwald downloading more secure software. Greenwald has some other stuff on his plate, so he kind of puts this on the back burner and forgets about it for a couple months, until one of his acquaintances, Laura Poitras, a filmmaker and actually the director of Citizen4, Snowden's the kind of movie version of this book. Anyways, she says that she's gotten an email from someone too. Greenwald then gets an email after that saying that from a random anonymous source saying that he's been working on a project with a mutual friend of theirs, which is Laura, and that they need to talk. Greenwald's a little skeptical, doesn't know if he should believe him, but once he talks to Laura, he realizes that it's a legit source and that this guy means business. Cincinnatus, who's also, well, basically this anonymous guy is Snowden. So he then asked Greenwald to come to Hong Kong with Laura in order for them to talk about it more privately, and talk about the big secret that he has to let out. After a couple days, Laura and Greenwald head over to Hong Kong to meet up with Snowden, and he takes extensive lengths to make sure they are not found out, which include, once they got to the hotel that he was meeting them at, he told them only that he was going to have a Rubik's Cube, and that's how they had to find him, and they had to sit in a random room and wait for him, but for no longer than like 5 minutes at a time. Anyways, the point is, Snowden was very cautious and meticulous in his efforts in general. Anyways, after that, they go to Snowden's room, and they start to discuss the documents that he's prepared to leak. And it takes a day or two to go over all of them, because there's so many. And in this time, Greenwald spends little time sleeping, and most of the time writing up drafts for the articles that he's prepared to leak. This goes on, and he types up the first thing that he wants to publish, which is on the document on the phone tapping. I believe it's the FISA. And there was a court order that called for Verizon to hand over all of its call data to the Obama administration without any hesitation. This gave the government nearly unlimited access to everyday civilian conversations, and not like suspects or criminals or people of possible danger, just regular, ordinary citizens like you and me, that the government needed to see all of their conversations on the phone, and who knows, it was ridiculous, but they hit a few road bumps in publishing, where The Guardian, which was Greenwald's media that he was going through, what he worked at, they had to go for legal reasons to the U.S. government and show them that they were going to publish this and see if they had any reasons why they would not, like national security threats or anything like that. And obviously the government tried to play it off like doing this would make terrorists kill everyone in the U.S., but obviously that wasn't true. So after it got very close to Greenwald actually quitting The Guardian and posting it independently, which might have made this whole thing end up differently, but The Guardian ended up pulling through and they published it, and immediately there was a reaction all across the United States. It was crazy. After the Prism article was released, it's time for the big reveal of Snowden himself. He wants for himself to bring himself out and say, I'm the whistleblower, so that the government doesn't have the satisfaction of trying to manipulate the whole situation and say, oh, Snowden was a bad guy. He leaked these out of fear and then fled to China, whereas actually he realized what he was doing, and Snowden was doing the acts of a hero, in my opinion, and was showing the whole American population of this crazy thing that the government have been doing behind their backs for pretty much their whole lives. Anyways, Laura, who is Greenwald's acquaintance, takes a video of an interview between Snowden and Greenwald, and Greenwald writes up an article and it's released. And there's a lot of the media who has ties with the government tries to, give a bad name to Snowden and focus more on him, whereas the really important part is all the documents and all the information that's being leaked, and they try and make it out so that Snowden's the bad guy when in reality it's them. But yeah, I had a couple quotes I wanted to read to you guys. A really cool one where Greenwald had been saying that he didn't know if there was enough conviction behind Snowden's views and what he was saying. He just couldn't tell if Snowden really meant what he meant. And then I'll take this quote. Finally, Snowden gave me an answer that felt vibrant and real. The true measurement of a person's worth isn't what they say they believe in, but what they do in defense of those beliefs. If you're not acting on your beliefs, then they probably aren't real. I think this is a really cool quote, really summarizes and justifies Snowden's actions. And really, when I read that, I knew that I could just sense why he had done that, and it makes so much more sense. And we got another one in here, not about Snowden, but about actually, I believe his name is Keith Alexander, who is the former NSA chief. He had a personal model of collect it all. He was basically the guy, post 9/11, NSA chief, all about getting as much information as possible, regardless of the consequences. Not really the guy you want to have in charge, but The book's epilogue ends by saying, even the most committed activists are often tempted to succumb to defeatism. The prevailing institutions seem too powerful to challenge. Orthodoxies feel too entrenched to uproot. There are always many parties with a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. But it is humans being collectively, not a small number of elites working in secret, who can decide what kind of world we want to live in. Promoting the human capacity to reason and make decisions, that is the purpose of whistleblowing, of activism, of political journalism. And that's what is happening now, thanks to the revelations brought about by Edward Snowden. Snowden is now a name that will go down in U.S. history forever for bringing about one of the biggest national security leaks in all of U.S. history. That being said, it's one of the most important things that's ever happened. And the fact that all of this was happening behind closed doors and no one knew about it just makes the whole secrecy of the government a very scary and real thing. And it's not unlikely that there's other stuff that they're hiding, with all the new findings coming out about torture and all that. Who knows what else is left in the government's pool of secret documents, supposedly never to be seen. But who knows, maybe there'll be another guy like Snowden to come along and show the rest of America what they haven't been seeing.